So I've been working on a concept for building pipelines from within Griptape nodes. Occasionally, when I was working in studios, we would get into this issue where maybe we were working with a separate site, or there was a trailer coming up that we needed to kind of break away from the normal pipeline and quickly iterate and build something so that we could get a trailer out the door, or maybe working with some other studio so that they could quickly spin up a pipeline and get our content. So this concept, and this is really truly just a concept at this point in time, I've built a workflow here that has custom nodes down the side here, and essentially what it does is it displays the view of a pipeline, and you can set custom features of that pipeline. This could integrate with an existing pipeline already, or just create an entirely new one. What this does here is we start to just kind of give some globals about how the structure and the folder structure is. You can kind of drag and drop and pop these in wherever you want, but for this, we're not going to do that. You can also see that they come up there. It was really quite easy to build these JavaScript based widgets that can feed information to the other pieces. So it was quite pleasurable to set up. So this view here kind of shows the structure of what we'd be building in this system. You can see we've got different departments. I'm a big believer in Rez packaging, and also a publish module called Pyblish, somewhat awkwardly. So this is basically setting up a couple of different departments with a few different publish processes that kind of chain together. So you can see I've created a studio pipeline here. We're going to output to a certain location. I am going to build into this pieces where it can actually even build a launcher for you. So it could be a completely standalone system. And you can see I've got a few applications that I want to install. They have their own separate nodes that break away from this. So you can just add whatever app you want. But this really defines the overall studio structure, which you can see up in here in this widget. So here we've got our overall pipeline config, our app installer. We're going to install Maya and Katana. Move that out of the way. And you can see the nodes for those. This basically just asks an agent to babysit a MSI installer to a particular location. You can do dry runs to make sure that it's going to actually operate. I'll jump over to the kind of the folder structure in a moment and explain a few more pieces. And then from there, you can start to define the departments within your studio. Now, this will actually take into account all of the globals that you have set up, where you want your applications, how you want the structure for it, what your res location is, and then build upon that, kind of automatically adding in any of the dependencies that you need as well. So it's quite aware of how to build good res structures, as well as, it can do dry runs and build out actual publish processes. You could even hook it into whatever database or asset management system you have on site so that it actually talks to that as well. But essentially what each of these nodes do is they have a agent Mix-in, and it has an amount of iterations that it can do in a dry run capability. So you can successfully run it over and over and over again with different models until you kind of get the results that you want. And the cool thing about the iterations is each one of these leaves a MD file about what failures and what preferences you choose to get the correct output. So once you've got a complete run, like up here, it'll always reference back to that information. So it's more deterministic and less random every time an agent tries to configure or update. So yeah, we have a few different Rez packages that we create. And then from there, we start to build out a few publishing workflows. You can see here we've got an anim publish, which is exporting alembics and building USDs and various things like that. We have a model publish, which also does, validate topology, validate UVs, extracts the model. Cool thing about this as well is you can hook in any of the API references or even provide your own. You could also hook this up with MCPs to do a secondary validation pass to make sure that whatever you've created actually runs within your environment before pushing anything to disk. So yeah, that's the basic concept. It's very much a work in progress at the moment, but really the kind of thing that I want to build out, let me just bring this over, is a structure that we're all very familiar with in studios, where you've got your application layer where all of your applications might live, depending on whether you're in Windows or Linux, and then the Rez package architecture. It can get very complex in its dependencies, but if you have agents understanding maybe what you need, this can make it a lot more simplified and give you maybe a bit more grounding for design as well, because over time, as you're building out your Rez architecture, you might need to just put in a new package that you didn't think of, and if you don't kind of go over and refine that, you start to get into a bit of trouble where maybe you're doubling up packages. So in this example here, we've got Maya 2024. It's got a Python 3.10 dependency in Katana, which is 3.11, and we've got a few core libraries that know that they need different versions. So this can really kind of break that apart easily for you and build out the publish processes between two DCCs that might be on completely different VFX reference platforms. So yeah, this is the pipeline builder nodes prototype. Thanks for watching.